again, working with that simple interest formula. So we're going to review the parts of that. So our interest, that's the money that we end up getting paid for either the use of our money or that we have to pay for using somebody else's money. So that's what the I stands for. The principal, that's the money that we either borrow or that somebody borrowed from us. So that's that standard amount, that initial amount of money. Okay, the rate, the R, is going to be your percentage rate that you are using, and then your time is going to be your number of years over time. Now, sometimes they do modify that and change that into months, so then we'll just work off of a decimal portion of a year. So it says an account earns interest. Find the interest earned, and then find the balance of the account. So we're going to do two different things. Okay, so here we initially started out with $1,500. So I'm going to jot that off to the side. Now, we are going to earn interest on that $1,500. So we're going to act like this was a savings account. So we're going to plug in the information that we know. So our $1,500, that's our P in our formula. That's our principal. Our 4%, anytime they have us give us our percent, that's our rate. And then our 5 years, that would be our time. So we're going to go ahead and plug those three things into our equation up above. So our interest equals our principal, which was $1,500, times our rate. Now the rate I'm going to go ahead and write as its decimal form of 0.04, and times our time. So our time was 5 years. So now on our calculator, we're going to go ahead and just plug that information in, and that's going to tell us how much interest we earn. So 1,500 times 0.04 times 5. When I do that, I get $300. So our interest equals $300. Okay, so there was a second question that was asked, and that says find the balance of the account. So if I had $1,500 in the account initially and I didn't touch it, I left it in the account for that 5 years, I'm going to get paid $300 interest. So what would my ending balance be? This was my interest, my new balance. I'm going to just add these together. I get $1,500. They're paying me $300 to use it. So I ended up with $1,800 at the end of 5 years in that account. Okay, $1,500 of it was what I put in there. $300 of it was what the bank or whatever establishment paid me to use it. Okay, so the key thing on working with these is that you're understanding what each of the numbers is representing, so, and then plugging in and solving for that. In this case, we're solving for interest. Okay, so here's our next one. We have $1,800 at 6.5% interest for 30 months. So this one's kind of tricky. And here's why. We need to, first of all, when we go through to do this, let's change that into our decimal form of years. So if we were to convert that into years, well, we want to divide this by 12. Why? Because there's 12 months in a year. So if we divide that by 12, 30 divided by 12 is going to give us 2.5. So instead of thinking of it as 30 months, let's now change that to 2.5 years. Okay, so this is our principal, this is our rate, and this is our time. Okay, so we're going to plug it into this information. So our interest equals, our principal was $1,800, times our rate was 6.5, so I'm going to change that to its decimal form, 2 places, so 0.065, and yes, we'll keep 3 decimals on that, times now our number of years. Instead of 30 months, we're going to use the year format of 2.5 years. Okay, now since the interest is all by itself, we get to go ahead and just multiply out what's there. 1,800 times 0.065 times 2.5. When I do that for my interest, so my principal originally was $1,800 plus my interest. The interest I just found out was $292.50. So this was my interest. Now to figure out my balance, remember we're going to go ahead and add those two together. So if I take 1,800 and add it to that 292, oops. When I do that, I get $2,092.50. Okay, my interest was $292.50. My balance in my account now is $2,092.50. Okay, so let's try another one of those. Oh. Okay, so this time they did give us years, so that's the key thing. Double check to make sure that they're giving you your time in years. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause your video and get your equation set up for this. I'll go ahead and help you identify the pieces. So the amount of money is our principal. Our 4.6 is our R, or our rate, and our 4 years would be our time. So go ahead, pause your video, and work your way through plugging this information in and then solving for the interest as well as the balance. Okay, so you should have ended up with an interest of $308.20 and with a balance of $1,983.20, or $1,983.20. Okay, so that's working through these equations, actually solving for just interest. Now, sometimes they're going to go through and give us